Welcome to the inaugural episode of Texas High School Hoops. Matthew Brice, I'm Spencer Pattison. We got Michael Gaddis on the sticks making this whole thing happen. First of all, Matthew, give me a little background about yourself.
Well, Spencer, I'll be 42 in about a week and a half. So happy early birthday to me. Beautiful wife, 3 beautiful children. I'm proud of all 4 of them. That includes my wife and my 3 beautiful children. Spencer, I'm just here to enjoy myself and talk basketball with you.
Enjoy yourself, and you will, for sure. I'm Spencer, obviously. I just moved from Denver, Colorado in August of this year. Was shocked by the football here, but I do lots of play-by-play. I work at UT Tyler, do UT Tyler play-by-play, and then I did Parish Episcopal sideline reporting all season long for Game On Sports, which Texas High School Hoops is presented by Game On Sports. Forgot to say that. First episode, I'm already messing up, but I wanna mention why I started Texas High School Hoops. It's because I was shocked. Like I said, I was shocked about the football coverage here in Texas, and then it rolled over to basketball season. It was nowhere near. I couldn't find very many podcasts about Texas high school basketball. So you know what I had to do? I had to create it, and we're gonna have some fun here on this podcast. Make sure you're tuning in. It should be a good one. Let's start off. The national rankings, the ESPN SC Next Top 25. That's a mouthful, first of all, mouthful. But there's 2 teams in Texas that are in the top 25, and it's the number 24 and number 25. Number 24 is Stony Point, 16-0 right now on the season. They're led by the 3-star senior Villanova commit, Josiah Mosley. He grew up as a guard, so he's got those dribbles, those moves. Now he's 6'6", so he's a threat just about everywhere. He's a great rebounder. Honestly, he should be a 4-star. I don't see why he's a 3-star. And honestly, on good days, could be a 5-star. Could be. He's a really great player.
Well, you know, in basketball being played in the city of Austin, 2 top teams I'm assuming they're the 2 top teams in the state of Texas, right?
2 of the top. I mean, according to ESPN, yes.
Okay, so different rankings, different systems, different opinions. Okay, understood. So 24 and 25, Round Rock, Stony Point, and Lake Travis. Both out of the Austin area. Those schools are close to each other. And the thing is, usually when you think of Texas high school basketball, you think of the Fort Worth Dunbars. You think of the Dallas Lincolns, the South Oak Cliffs, Carter, Kimball, Madison even, the Madison Trojans down in South Dallas. So to see 2 schools down in Austin getting some recognition like that, that's major, Spencer.
It's huge.
Yes,
absolutely
sir.
Huge. So Stony Point, they've had a number of big wins this season. They beat Duncanville 90-65. We will talk about Duncanville later in the show. And then they beat Allen 74-68. And honestly, I don't know what you think, but I think they'll go undefeated if they keep playing like this.
Well, going undefeated is hard. And there's been a few schools that have done it. The Lincoln Tigers of 2001 went 40-0 with
before I was born.
Now, this is where I'm showing my age. So 2001, I mean, I was 20 years old at the time. So I remember Brian Hopkins, and Chris Bosh was on that team, NBA Hall of Famer. He was on that team with Brian Hopkins. And the year before that, you had Fort Ben Willowridge down in Houston. I believe they were 39 or 40-0 or something like that. Daniel Ewing and TJ Ford were on that team.
Obviously, there can be a sneaky game that comes up and kind of a trap game that you lose. But Stony Point right now, they look darn good. And number 25 on that ESPN national rankings is Lake Travis. Like you mentioned, they're 16-1. Their one loss to Stony Point, a 66-63 game. A heck of a game, first of all. Josiah Mosley had 31 points and 7 rebounds for Stony Point. And Hudson Greer, he didn't have a big game. He had 11 points, and he's been a monster this season. He's a 4-star junior. He's got a ton of Power 5 offers. Just took an official visit to Creighton. He's going to be a threat, especially next year as a senior. But it really came down to Uzziah Bunton, who hit a half-court buzzer beater to win the game. It was a tie game, had to shoot it, got rid of it, and won the game, didn't go to overtime. I mean, Lake Travis, Stony Point, Those are two teams that very well could win it all.
And you know what? They won't see each other again now. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. They will not see each other again until the postseason because they're not in the same district.
Correct.
So, you know, if you're Lake Travis, you want that matchup again because it's like you getting ready to push them to overtime, and you lose on a buzzer beater from half court.
Especially to keep it that close,
right?
When arguably your best player only has 11 points. That's massive. That means that was a real team effort to stay in that one. Obviously, Josiah Mosley being a beast.
Right.
Personal thought that your personal opinion, like I mentioned, 5-star player. In my opinion, at his best, he's a heck of a player. But
yes, sir.
One team we mentioned in that segment was Duncanville. They're back, or are they?
Well, because of the championship pedigree, Spencer. I'm going to say yes, sir. And, you know, championship pedigree, you got to give them the benefit of the doubt. I want to say they won 3 in a row before the suspension. Maybe it may have been 4 in a row, but I know they won 3 in a row. C.J. Ford, now playing at the collegiate level, son of Neiman Ford, who coached for Coach Peavy last year when they were on suspension. C.J. was a part of all 3 of those championship teams. So because of the tradition that's in place, because of the coaching staff that is still there, yes, sir, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Now, because of district going to be tough dealing with DeSoto, Cedar Hill, Mansfield, Legacy, teams like that. So they will have to work for it. But no doubt, playing the schedule that they played against Montverde, Link Academy, they're going to be up for the task. I know they will.
Yeah, and with that Montverde, Link Academy, they're 5-5. 4 of those 5 schools that they lost to were out-of-state schools. The one team that they lost to, I mentioned it earlier, against Stony Point, 90-65, the final score there. But that's Stony Point. They're a threat to be reckoned with right now. But Duncanville, 5-5, and honestly, I went to the Montverde game, Hoop Fest, and they're young. They've got no ranked seniors. They're led by B.J. Davis-Ray, a junior 4-star, plenty of P5 offers, their highest ranked player. In that game in particular, wasn't impressed. However, Caden Edwards, a junior 4-star, another guy that's got plenty of Power 5 offers. He's a hooper.
Okay.
He can shoot the lights out just from about anywhere. He's very confident. He'll just stop and pull. I mean, against some very good Montford players. He's one of the most lethal shooters in Texas. However, those 2 guys, yes, they're great. You look at Montverde, there's Cooper Flagg, the number 1 player in the country. There's plenty of 5-stars. You got guys riding the bench that have plenty of Division I offers. They're the number 1 team in the country for a reason. There's one player, it's not on Montverde, that really sparked my eye, and that's Beckham Black.
The younger brother of Anthony Black.
Correct. The Orlando Magic, Anthony Black. This freshman, Beckham Black, is a hooper. He is so fantastic. He's the best freshman in Texas, in my opinion. And he's been getting a lot of media attention since middle school. He really balled out against Montverde. He was electric. He was the most electric player on the court that day. He played against a ton of 5-stars, like I mentioned, and he still balled out. I mean, just imagine. Go back, freshman year of high school. You're up against the number 1 player in the country and plenty of 5-stars. You're just coming off your 8th grade year. And this is like one of your first high school basketball games, and you perform well. You can't teach confidence like that.
Well, one thing about the great players, Spencer, confidence is one of the things that they all have. That's where it starts with a lot of your great basketball players. They know they're good, but they work for it. They put in the time. And him being the younger brother of Anthony, I'm pretty sure there were some days where he was in the gym with Anthony.
Oh, yeah.
Tagging along, putting up some shots himself. Following along in some drills that Anthony may have been partaking in. It was probably already instilled in him.
And he saw his brother go to the league. I mean, he knows what it takes. So he's going to be a very fun player for the next 4 years. I can't wait to watch him. He's incredible.
Yes, sir.
But let's take it back to the very beginning of this segment. Is Duncanville back? They might not be yet, but next year, year after, that once they get a little bit older each year, I mean, they're Duncanville. They're always going to be Duncanville.
And I like the key word of yet. And see, yet does not even partake going into next year or the year after. Yet could mean this year.
That is true. They haven't had the Duncanville-esque start to the season.
Right.
But B.J. Davis-Ray, Caden Edwards, both juniors could really turn up the heat. And then Beckham Black being that point guard to lead the way. Also, there was a point during the Montverde game where he got Cooper Flagg just about to stumble. I mean, was really crossing him up. The whole gym was going crazy. I was like, no way, this freshman is about to break Cooper Flagg's ankles. I was hoping for it. Didn't happen. Montverde, they pulled ahead in the second half, won by a big margin. But that first half, Duncanville showed sparks for sure. Now, fun segment. Five names you absolutely need to know for this season. And you got to start with none other than the number one recruit in 2024, Nick Cody. Carrollton Newman-Smith, he's 6'8", committed to Texas. He's going to go play with Trey Johnson. And he's a modern-day four-man, explosive, strong, quick. He's a name you 100% need to know.
And the son of of Texas high school football alum, Nakia Cody. Great athletic genetics. Father Nakia was a great safety at Cleburne High School, south of Fort Worth. Played his college ball at Baylor and played a few years with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So hard work and athletic genetics, it's in him. He's going to be good.
Oh, yeah. The next guy, a younger guy, a sophomore out of Lone Star High School. Trent Perry doesn't play like a sophomore. 6'4", multiple division offers. Ole Miss just offered him. He's a really, really good defender, aggressive on the defense, very explosive going towards the rim. And he's going to be a threat these next few years, being a sophomore, already being that good, already being able to propel Lone Star to be a top team in Texas. I mean, being a sophomore. We talked about freshman Beckham Black. We'll ignore the freshman. He's an outlier. Being a sophomore and still doing these things at a school that's not Duncanville is impressive.
And Lone Star has been putting out some good football players as of lately. You know, the Marvin Mims, the Nick Boldens, guys like that. So now we get to see them do it on the hardwood, Spencer. Can't wait to see how he pans out.
Oh, yeah. He's already having a heck of a year. The next player, and this is in no particular order, by the way, Robert Miller III out of Pasadena Memorial. He's 6'10". He's a 4-star senior, signed to LSU. He can do just about anything. He's an all-around threat. So much potential. Just imagine you're a defender. And there's a 6'10" Robert Miller III that can do anything anywhere.
Can pretty much pick his own shot. Handle the ball. He can post you up. Run the floor.
There's no way I could guard him. I can't guard any of these guys we're talking about, but especially not him. 6'10", and he can shoot.
Yes, sir.
I'm good. I'll pass on that. He's gonna be a beast.
Let's just stick to talking about it.
I agree. I don't ever want to play against these guys. It would be embarrassing. Signed to LSU. LSU's gonna have a heck of a player next year. Next up, Kingston Flemings out of San Antonio, Brennan High School. 6'2" guard, real shifty. He's a junior. He's got offers from Houston, Texas Tech, Bama, plus plenty more. He's very versatile, but the thing I love most about him is his passing vision. He can see players cut when the defender doesn't even know he's cutting. He does lots of no-look passes. I love it. I love Kingston Flemings. The one thing he lacks is just getting to the rim and being able to connect on the hoop inside. But he's a junior in high school. That develops. I would love to see that develop soon.
And that's something that can be fixed. Putting in the time and being coachable. Get with a coach that can bring that out of him, because it may be already in him, but he doesn't know how to bring it out of him himself. So getting with a coach that can bring it out of him, kind of push him, get him to start pushing, going to the basket a little bit, along with his ability to be able to pass and see the court, that could pay dividends in the future.
Yeah, he's a guy that one of the best guards in his class and one of the shiftiest and most versatile. So I'm really excited to see him play the rest of the year. And fifth and final name you absolutely need to know, and I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, so I do apologize, but it's Cool Attack. Haltom High School, 6'9" senior. Remember that, 6'9", committed to the University of Oklahoma. And he is one of the best shooters in Texas.
And actually pretty athletic. The only thing he needs to do, which I'm sure he will do once he gets to Norman on that University of Oklahoma campus, hit the weights some.
Agreed.
Ramp up your protein intake, hit the weights, and give him about 2 or 3 years, and he'll be ready to go.
Oh, man, he'll be dangerous. I mean, he just lacks that physicality, obviously.
But one thing about it, and don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
But the fact that he can shoot, that's something that does not go away.
Oh, he's pure. When
he's putting on that weight and hitting the weights and ramping up that protein, the jump shot is not going to go away. That's like riding a bicycle. A true jump shooter never loses his jump shot.
Oh, man, he is electric from behind the arc. He is a pure shooter. He dials it in every single game. He'll just drill them. So to see him in the paint at the University of Oklahoma, that's something I want to see. And he's a name you need to watch this year for sure. You can't miss him. You can't. Let's have some fun.
Okay.
You want to have some fun?
I'm always up for fun.
You like predictions? I like predicting things.
Predictions.
Do you like predicting things?
Yeah. Let's do it.
6A state champions. I need to know who you got.
Oh,
So many good teams.
You know what?
Got Beaumont United stacked with veteran players. That's a team you want to look out for. Stony Point, the team we talked about earlier.
Now, this is just a prediction, not a, understand, this is based on opinions. We're not experts. We just having fun. I like Plano East a lot.
They're a good team.
I like Matt Diggs. Matt Diggs is alma mater. I like Plano East a lot.
Yeah.
And they went, was it 2-3 rounds deep a year ago? Yeah. A lot of those guys are back. There's some experience back.
Plano East is definitely one of the top teams in the state.
And, I think this is a year where the Metroplex gets another state champion. Last year, we got Richardson Lake Highlands. Yeah, give me Plano East.
I like it. This is tough. Obviously Beaumont United, Stony Point, Duncanville. Do they come back? Do they make a comeback this year? I don't think so this year. But even North Crowley. North Crowley's a team that's been performing well, but I'm going to go with Stony Point. Give me Josiah Mosley. Give me the Villanova commit. He is a beast. Stony Point has already performed extremely well. I think they go undefeated all the way through. They're going to win out district. They're going to win the state championship. Stony Point is a heck of a team.
You don't think Lake Travis is going to come back and get him in the postseason?
That'll be a game to watch for sure. You know what? That could be the decision maker right there. Stony Point, Lake Travis, when they play each other, that team could very well win the state championship. And I think Lake Travis also has a very good team.
Absolutely.
I think Stony Point does take it. And I think they'll beat Lake Travis a little bit more this time with a few other guys stepping up other than Josiah Mosley. And
I like it.
I love predicting. Predicting is fun. So we'll keep doing it on this show. But those are our 6A state championship picks. Lock it in. You got mine, Stony Point.
Plano East. Stony Point.
Stony Point, Plano East. I'm excited for it. American Airlines.
And you know what? I'm gonna tell you something else about Duncanville, because the thing is that everyone may be going to sleep now.
Yeah, that is true.
Everyone may be going to sleep. And remember the tough schedule. We're not just talking about the non-district slate. They're going to get in the district. They're going to see Cedar Hill. They're going to see DeSoto. You know, they're going to see a couple of the Mansfield schools who play solid basketball themselves. So if they can, continue to grow, continue to let Coach Peavy do his job, in other words, being the championship coach that he is. Hey, they may be able to snatch the rug from somebody's feet, and before you know it, they may be the one to come out of the region as the champ. So, yeah, I'm sticking with Plano East, but we can't go to sleep on the championship pedigree. Championship pedigree is real.
They're a good team.
They are.
They're a fun team.
And a great program.
Imagine the youth wins it. I love it. And, I love predictions, like I said.
Yeah.
You know what else I love? Christmas.
Me too.
Coming up, Christmas break's going to happen. But after Christmas break, there's some games lined up that look solid, that you have to watch. And I will be watching, for sure. Starting out, January 2nd, Allen, McKinney. Face off. That's going to be a massive game in District 5. Two top teams in a very, very tough District 5. Who you got, Allen or McKinney?
I'm going Allen, but I got them splitting. I think Allen takes the first one. McKinney takes the next one. Highland Park, a young Highland Park team, gave McKinney a run for their money. They lost to McKinney on a buzzer beater, 3-pointer.
Right.
Yeah, they played each other twice this year. One was a non-district game, one a tournament game. And, yeah, McKinney got him at the buzzer, 3-pointer out of the corner.
Yeah.
Game on Sports, they were covering that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
And speaking of Highland Park and Game on Sports, January 9th, we got a Highland Park game that is really catching my eye as they take on Dallas Jesuit. Highland Park 11-5, Dallas Jesuit 12-2. This could very well be the District 7 either side. Obviously, Lake Highlands winning the state championship last year, they're not the same team. They've got, I think, 2 or 3 returners this year. Highland Park already beat them, and it was a completely low-scoring game. I actually called that game. It was fun, but Highland Park looks good. Dallas Jesuit, they look really good. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, because Game on Sports, Highland Park, great ties, but I have to go with Dallas Jesuit. What you got?
Going with Jesuit. I like Highland Park. I like Highland Park in that matchup. And understand this, we could see a split between those two.
That's true.
Because that is a rivalry. These kids know one another. A lot of them grew up together. Some of them may have played on some teams together. So I could see a split between those two. Get me Highland Park in the first one, though.
I like it. We'll be battling that game, facing off against each other. January 12th, or January 2nd, January 9th, mark your calendars. And we'll wrap it up here with the final question of the day. Is prep school? Yes, prep school. The prep school that took Trey Johnson, Jalen Washington away from Lake Highlands this season. Is that the place to be in high school basketball right now?
It's all subjective. And it depends on who you ask. Prep school, depending on how you want to look at it, there are some things that can prepare you for college life from the academic standpoint, as well as from the athletic standpoint too. But you can also get some of those same qualities at the public school. Let me say this. I think it depends on the player.
Fair.
Because prep school may not be for everyone. Just like public school may not be for everyone. And private school that's where Julius Randle out of Prestonwood Academy up here in Plano. That's where it worked out perfectly for him. So I'm going to say it depends on the player.
Oh, most definitely. I think it's really important to look at the guys like Trey Johnson I think it makes very, very much sense for him to go to a prep school just for a year. Then he'll go to college. It's basically like professional basketball from the ages of 14 to 18 years old. So it's a really interesting dynamic. And if you're Trey Johnson, you want to go and compete against the best players before you get to college, become a better player, play against Montverde Academy, play against Prolific Prep. And right now, those are the top 3 teams, Link Academy, Montverde, and Prolific Prep in the ESPN Top 25. Those are the top 3 teams, and they're all prep schools. I mean, that shows you how this has shifted over the past couple of years, where a lot of those big guys are going to prep schools. But how about the kids who aren't necessarily the Trey Johnsons, that are kind of riding the bench on the prep school? They're riding the bench for the prep schools. They still might get a D1 offer, but they're not getting the playing time necessarily that they would get at a public school. I can't see them succeeding as much as they did. But obviously there's different players, different places. But what do you think about that?
Well, that goes back to it being dependent on the player.
Right.
And who they are. Because riding the bench may do someone a favor. But in my honest opinion, one has to play. Being able to play is very, very valuable for the experience in itself. So if I want to play and I want to get some burn and I want to get those quality reps, you know, it's sometimes it's like a junior playing JV football. Like if you're a quarterback and you're playing quarterback, you're on varsity, but you don't get any reps. Sometimes that you got junior football players that would rather play JV so they can get the reps. So I know it's a different sport, but it could be the same thing for basketball. So I think it really depends on the player.
Yeah. And now, I mean, if you look at college coaches, you know, they're going to the events like Hoop Fest or grind sessions where there's a ton of prep schools, a ton of talent all in one weekend. It's an easy trip where you get to see a lot of players where they might shy away from the public schools, just going to the one game, especially if you're an out-of-state school. That also is a big key, but it also depends on the prep school, because some prep schools don't play in those tournaments. They play against different teams. They travel out of state. Where do you think coaches are looking more right now, public or prep?
Ooh-wee.
It's a tough question.
It really is a tough question. Based on opinion, which might be wrong. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. And anybody who watches this, you can. I do like constructive criticism. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Based on what we know from how the Carmelo Anthonys and the Kevin Durant's, I'd lean more toward prep school. That's where I would lean. And let me also say this. Recruiting is also based on relationships. So you may have a top flight coach at a public school that has a better relationship with the recruiters than some prep school coaches.
Yeah. I mean, it really just depends on the players' situations. I think that's a really interesting thing to think about. Final note on prep school is obviously it depends on the prep school, but the education, definitely not normal. You're basically a professional basketball player with part-time prep or part-time education,
right?
Which I think can really hurt some kids. Obviously, for a guy like Trey Johnson, probably won't matter because he will most likely go to the NBA. Obviously, it's good for education, but for the guys who are going to spend 4 years in college, I think it's good to help them prepare for that, prepare for those college classes. I think the education, I don't know, it depends.
Yeah, and that's where some of the private schools come in too, because I know some of the private schools, I don't know how all of them work, but you have quite a few that they take that step forward to prepare you for college.
Yeah.
Whether you're playing basketball or football or even baseball. So, like we established, it depends on the player, but also it depends on where you go. Because I don't think all prep schools are the same.
Definitely not.
You got some that value education more than they value athletics. You got some that look at both on an equal level. So yeah, that depends on where you are, and that depends on what you are as a player too.
And then you got a school like Bishop Sycamore. We're not going to get into that. That'll do it here. A heck of a show, inaugural show, a fun one. I had a blast. We'll do this again. We got to make sure we watch out for some of these teams. But North Crowley, 1 loss. Who was it to?
North Crowley's 1 loss. Class 4A number 1 Fort Worth Eastern Hills. The Highlanders, my hometown. I'm a Fort Worth ISD kid. I didn't go to Eastern Hills, but we got to give them some love. We got to give them a shout out. And they're in a tough district themselves. They got to deal with Kennedale in district. Kennedale's 14-1. And Eastern Hills, they got a rival down the street in Dunbar. Dunbar is one of the blue blood basketball programs in the state of Texas. Let's get the Highlanders some love. Let's get them a round of applause.
They deserve it.
Absolutely. And not just them handing North Crowley their 1 loss. They have a double OT loss to Mansfield Legacy, 6A Mansfield Legacy, an overtime loss to 6A South Lake Carroll, a 1-point loss to 6A Arlington Martin. And they have beaten other 6A programs like Cedar Hill. They have beaten DeSoto this year. Now, some may say, well, DeSoto may not have all the guys from football, but at the same time, football or basketball, DeSoto is a solid basketball program, whether they got all the guys or not. So yeah, let's give Eastern Hill some love. Let's keep an eye on them. Keep an eye on Fort Bend Marshall in the 5A ranks. Keep an eye on Dallas Kimball and quite a few other schools in the area when it comes to Class 5A and 4A basketball.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Well, that'll do it here for Texas High School Hoops, the first edition. That's Matthew Brice. I'm Spencer Pattison. Couldn't have done this without Michael Gaddis, presented by Game On Sports. Thank you for watching.